Flavors mixing with flair. Every sip's a moment we're happy to share. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worries slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for the day. The clock don't matter, we're lost in the vibe. Jazz in the air, feel the soul come alive. From martinis to bourbon, we're riding the wave. Stealing this hour, it's the freedom we crave. Sun's still shining, but we're in our zone. This bar's our shelter, our temporary home. One more round before the world calls us back. Savor the moment, keep the blues in the rack. We'll laugh, we'll toast till the afternoon fades. Memories made in these liquid escapades. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worries slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for the day. So here's to the daylight, the drinks and the fun. Our liquid lunch, till the next one comes. With a wink and a smile, we'll be back real soon. Chasing that jazz under the high noon.
Salute! Welcome, welcome, and happy Wednesday. We are halfway through another one, or we are emerging from the week. This is when you go into a forest and you hit the halfway point. Everything after that is you exiting. So we're on our way out of a week. Welcome, every single one of you. So glad you are here. Yeah, I'm going to do this a little bit differently today. I had originally imagined WTF Wednesday. I was going to be like, okay, this is going to be my day for ranting, whatever's going on in pop culture that's just got me going nuts. You know, I can get it out. And, you know, I've actually gotten a lot of feedback that people enjoy my rants. But I realized today that WTF doesn't just mean ranting, doesn't just mean, you know, angry type stuff. Sometimes your mind can be blown by something that's not necessarily a bad thing that requires a rant. So we'll get into that a little bit later. First, I want to say hi to every single one of you, starting with the first person who hit the comments. Big Al Presents says, Happy WTF Wednesday, everyone. Have a great show, my friend. I know that Big Al likes my my theming of the liquid lunches because I'm trying to follow his example with the alliterations. The Tuesday talk or Tuesday thoughts. WTF Wednesday. I don't remember. Maybe it was Thursday thoughts, Tuesday talk. I forget. I think I actually confuse those two. Fun Fridays, but yeah, that was inspired by Big Al. I give the credit to him. I give credit where credit is due. Now, when you get a chance, go check out Big Al's most recent 10-word review. He did one on Red Sonja. I haven't seen the movie. Really interested to hear what Andre over at Midnight's Edge has to say about it. He is a huge Heinlein fan, and Conan, and Red Sonja, and what is it, Solomon, whatever. All those characters in that genre. He's like real into that stuff, and I know he had some serious misgivings about this movie, but Well, I'm not going to tell you what Big Al had to say about it. You should go check it out for yourself. Netters Network says, like, share, subscribe, become a member, leave a comment, do all of those YouTube-y things. I think the one that most people forget about, because no YouTuber generally talks about it, except Doomcock, I think, actually brings it up. Super thanks. You can always do a super thanks. If you are not here live and you felt the desire to drop a super chat, but you can't do it live, well, you can drop a super thanks down below. I think it's the equivalent of a super chat, where you can drop a super thanks and then it lets you put in a comment. But I don't think it restricts how long the comment can be, because, you only get, 100 characters or something in the chat over here, but down below you can prattle on, and I would appreciate it if you did. Some of the best conversations happen down in the chat section. Speaking of the chats, Connie is saying hi to all of y'all in the chat. Welcome, Connie. Good to see you. Good to see you. Curtis Selby, let's see if I can get this right. The voice of Northern Oklahoma, the tired midnight blogger, nothing to see here citizen, whose channel I will be on immediately after this show. In fact, if you stay with me to the end of today's Liquid Lunch, I will chauffeur you over there, and you can come over there with me. Don't touch that dial. Calling it a dial doesn't work anymore. That's pretty dated. Don't touch that mouse. Stay right where you are, and we'll head over to Curtis Selby's channel together. Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips, good to see you, my friend. Yes, I saw your message. I haven't had a chance. Very, very busy. I'm sure you understand. Hail all, smash the like button and enjoy the show. Yes, please do, as Jonathan Conroy requests. He is good people. He really is. Let's see. Love seeing you guys saying hi to each other. Maria with Tea and Telly, good morning and happy sipping. I hope you stay with us, Maria. I think you'll be interested in what I want to talk about today. I really do. Matanui, haven't seen you in a little while. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Let's see here. Monday Musings. That's what it is. Monday Musings. Tuesday Thoughts. WTF Wednesday. Thankful Thursday. That's right. How could I forget Thankful Thursday? And Friday Fun Day. That's exactly right. See, Netter knows this stuff better than I do. She's keeping me together over here. Big hugs, working but lurking. Good. I hope you're lurking. I think you're going to find this one. Solomon Kane. That's what it was. I almost said something about King Solomon's Mines. I'm like, no. That's Edward Rice Burroughs or something. I don't remember. I stay up late, which leads me to oversleeping. I kind of did that last night myself. Flow with Jess is actually here in the chat, catching us live, probably because she knows that she was the inspiration for today's topic. And we should get to that right now. Please check out the description below, a link to Jess's most recent video today. I kind of decide on the day, most days, what I'm going to talk about for Liquid Lunch. And first thing I saw when I hit my computer was that Flow with Jess had dropped a video today, 2 days in a row. That's almost like consistency, Jess. You stick with that, you'll have your watch time in no time. We got to get Jess up to the coveted number of watch hours so that she can get her channel monetized. I think that would be very encouraging for her, and it would maybe, as it has for me, prompt her to be a little bit more regular in her posts. Because when you start seeing the cold hard cash, you start thinking maybe I should kind of put some effort in here. There's some what do they call that? Positive reinforcement, But anyway, in a tangible way. And then, of course, you can say to your significant other, see, I'm not wasting my time. I'm contributing. I'm doing this thing, and it makes money for the household. So what was it that Jess was talking about this morning that got me thinking? She brought up a topic that I don't generally think about. I can't get too far without saying hi to one of my biggest supporters, Nate from Geek Flag with Nate Knows. Like, share, subscribe, comment, become a member. Yes, thank you so much, my friend. You are a very valued producer on this channel. Really appreciate it. So, we talk about, and we've talked about it on this channel before, not that much, just occasionally, because let's face it, there are other channels that you can go to, like a certain geeky professor who likes to talk about the hero's journey all the time, like it's the end-all, be-all of everything in the world and all of storytelling. Winking face. Thanks, buddy. Super appreciate it. And did I see a name go by? I did. Leia Plus Size. Afternoon, everybody. On break and stopping by. So glad that you're here. So glad. So the Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, right? I'm gonna have to. I gotta cheat a little bit because I forget. What it is. It's what are the stages? It's the call to adventure, refusal of the call, supernatural aid, the crossing of the first threshold, the belly of the whale. That's the departure. That's the initially going out. The initiation, the road of trials, the meeting with the goddess, woman as the temptress, atonement with the father, apotheosis, and the ultimate boon. That's the initiation. Then the return, refusal of the return, the magic flight, rescue from without, the crossing of the return threshold, master of the two worlds, freedom to live. So this is a framework for the hero's journey. And a lot of writers have turned to this as and rightly so, have turned to this as a kind of writing 101 for any adventure story. And by adventure, I don't just mean like Luke Skywalker getting the lightsaber, going off to fight Darth Vader, save Princess Leia. That absolutely does follow this hero's journey. But it's really, in a way, just about every story you think about. Jess mentioned today something about going out to slay the dragon. Sometimes that dragon is something literal, like going off to war, right? Or it could be something internal, right? Like that you have to deal with in order to get past whatever this it's the whatever you have to fight. So sometimes just character-driven dramas can still follow the hero's journey. As she brought this up and I started thinking more about it, I was like, I always think about Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey in terms of writing. And I've said, in fact, she's kind of called me on this. She's kind of called me on, you say that they don't make good stories anymore, but then here's this movie that I watched and really, really liked, but didn't know about. So I'll put the marketing thing aside. The fact that I didn't know about something was a failure on somebody's marketing department. We'll put that aside. But of course, what I mean more is the franchises that we've loved that were predicated on the hero's journey. Star Wars, right? Star Trek, Indiana Jones, you name it, right? Trying to distract me because it's easy to do. I notice a Bionic Man figure in the back. Is that an original? Yes, it is. This is... so the box for this literally just arrived today. What is inside is a custom action figure wearing the outfit of a Biff Bam Pow Steve Austin figure. I was very dissatisfied with the Biff Bam Pow figure, which goes for like buku friggin' bucks now because it's almost impossible to find. But I completely replaced the entire body. I purchased a resin head and painted it myself. The costume, of course, is taken from the Biff Bam Pow. And what you can't see is right behind the in the $6 Million Man, there's a little red keychain, electronic keychain, that you press the button and it makes the electronic because there's no like ratchet inside of his body or whatever. Anyway, I'll do a whole video on that, but it's very easy to get me. Yes, the Evil Dead would actually be throughout the franchise. The Evil Dead, Ash Williams starts out as a scared victim and becomes a badass chainsaw-wielding hero. Well, I mean, that is probably the best way to quickly encapsulate, the hero's journey. That's a great example. And we come to care about these characters. Why? Because we either see something of ourselves in them or we aspire to be more like them. Either way, and sometimes it's both, we feel this connection to these characters, right? And whether or not the character literally has the same skin color, the same gender, background, speaks the same language, does not matter. There is something at its core as a human being that we all should be able to see something of ourselves in. And the hero's journey is universal. It doesn't matter where you grew up, doesn't matter east, west, if you are, the palest of pale or darkest of dark skin, you are going to respond to this because these are universal truths, right? And I'm bringing it back to what Jess said that kind of set me off on this path was we tend to think of these in terms of a scaffolding to create our stories on, to write stories, or I guess a better analogy would be a canvas to paint our picture on. But what Jess said was incredibly profound and just caused my head to go. She was talking about it in terms of our lives. Our lives are a story that we are writing day to day to day. And we go through all of those processes. We're called to action in some way, shape, or form. I mean, and you can get really granular. You're called to do something. You don't want to do it. You resist against it. Maybe you pray on it to get some supernatural aid, or your parents are giving you advice and saying you should do it, pushing you to take that swimming class or join the Boy Scouts in my situation. A little bit introverted, so they were trying to push me to be a little more extroverted. Yeah, I know, right? Troy, introverted, really? Well, I wouldn't be the person I am today if I hadn't if I hadn't eventually answered the call, gone and done the things, joined the Boy Scouts, learned to swim, joined the band, got involved in theater. All of these things got me outside of myself more and more and more, to the point that I not a problem anymore. That was for crossing the first threshold, right? Until I found myself in the belly of the whale. I remember, I think I've shared this story before. I was enlisted at the church I belonged to. They wanted me to be to do a dramatization of the Apostle Paul before the Sanhedrin, and giving his testimony. And it was really kind of cool because I'm in the robes with chains, and I'm on stage, and in the balcony is where the person depicting Agrippa with his men was. So I'm literally speaking to Agrippa, who's up, and so that puts the audience in the middle of the action. And I had memorized the entire passage and all of my lines, and had the blocking done and whatnot. And I was nervous as all get out. And this was not my first time on stage. I'd been doing stage productions for years. But something about this was probably my longest soliloquy that I'd ever done. I think there's a little bit more at stake when you're doing it, in church for, before God, or however you want to look at it. So I was really, really nervous. And I'm backstage and I'm pacing and I'm going, why do I do this? Why do I always do this to myself? I get all worked up and I hate this and I feel like I'm going to be sick. I'm never doing this again. I'm never getting out on stage ever again. I am done performing. But the show has to go on, right? So I go out and I do it, and it was amazing, at least from my point of view. I actually got a lot of feedback that it was good, but, you always assume people are just being nice. But I was pretty stoked, and I'm like, that's why I do it. That's why I do it. So yeah, I continued to do different kinds of performances over the years. Let me real quick go back to your comments before I go much farther. Joe, good to see you. The hero's journey can also apply to fight scenes. Oh, so individual scenes within a story. Good point. You can tell a whole separate story through action choreography, where the character gets beaten, tries, fails again, attempts to, and finally wins. Boy! Oh! Now you've blown my mind too. This takes it to a whole other level. So Jess takes the story narrative and blows it up to your whole life, and you bring it down to specifically the fight choreography in one scene. That's just brilliant. I mean, this is like those fractal patterns that as you go in, they keep repeating. It's like, man, that's some really mind trippy stuff. But you're right. That makes me think of just, the fights, at the denouement of the Rocky movies, right? Like every Rocky movie, he goes out there, there's the challenge, he accepts the challenge, he goes out there, the fight starts, he gets clobbered, he goes down, he gets back up again, gets clobbered again. There's that point where you think he's going to either die in the ring or he's going to have no choice. He's got to throw in the towel, but he gets the eye of the tiger and he comes back and he wins, right? Man, that's really cool. That's a great way to look at it. If you're a writer, you think you must write a character for a specific demographic, then you're not a good writer. Exactly right. This is the problem. And you know what? Peterson, what's his name? Jordan Peterson was talking about this. Well, I don't know when he actually first started talking about it. I remember seeing it about 5 years ago. He was talking about intersectionality. And he said the problem with intersectionality is the more you narrow down groups and separate and segregate people, you know, the ultimate outcome is the individual, right? So if we separate the races, okay, it's all one race, right? And then you separate the races into families, right? Tribes. Then you separate those between the men and the women. Then you start getting into even more nuanced things. The taller, the shorter, the one that's a little bit darker, a little bit lighter, the one with the freckles, the one without. Eventually you get down to just you. Just you. Now, the scary thing about AI and potentially customizable storytelling is eventually it may become possible for a generic story to be released, and then you could superimpose yourself literally as the hero and the people around you as the co-stars. But then isn't that exactly what life is? Why would you need someone else's story, right? Life is a poorly written story as it doesn't have to make sense. Well, some of the best stories don't make intuitive sense. But I would argue, too, that the story of your life does make sense when you pull back and look at it as a whole. But when you're in the middle of it, you can't see it that way. It doesn't make sense when you're in it. It makes sense when you're at the end of it looking back. As told by someone who has spent a lot of time looking back as an old fart. If you hadn't been in speech in high school and theater, it would have heartily talked to. I would have hardly talked to anyone ever. I would have hardly talked to anyone ever. Yeah. You know, and then I did that too. I did the debate team and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Thank you, Joe's Atmosphere. Like and share, beaches. Thank you. Raid and Netflix Daredevil Season 1 capture the hero's journey perfectly. Yes. Well, I don't know what Raid is, but definitely that Daredevil Season 1. The protagonist is trapped in a locked building and he has to clear the levels of enemies and he gets tired and yeah, that if you like fairly violent, you know, fisticuff type things, Rocky and I don't know, Fight Club or any of that kind of stuff, you should really check out the first season of Daredevil. There are some fight scenes in there that are, what are they called in the film industry? Like single camera perspective. The whole thing is done, if not done in one take, it is edited so as to appear to be one take. And you are literally watching this guy fighting his way through hordes of people in a hall. In a way, these battles are almost like the Battle of Thermopylae. 300 Spartans against, you know, thousands of Xerxes' men, right? But you fight in a narrow passage so that you're fighting on equal terms, right? And that's kind of what Daredevil does. He's being attacked by 25 guys, but he's in a hallway, so only about 2 or 3 of them can get at him at a time, and he just whomps their butts. But he's not he is superhuman, but he's not superhuman in terms of physical strength and endurance. He's got normal human strength and endurance, so he's getting tired. And so he starts taking more blows because he gets sloppy, as you do when you get tired. Good stuff. Yeah, I heard. Now I don't remember whose review it was. I watch a lot of you reviewing people who did a review on weapons, and I really, really want to see that. I think it was actually the Critical Drinker got me interested in wanting to see it. I was always in the performing arts since I was a child. I have dyslexia, so school was a struggle, but when I joined the school choir, and drama class, I found my confidence. Yeah, and one of the things you learn in music and in performing arts, when you have to study lines, you have to study songs and whatnot, you realize that different people learn differently, right? You can learn a song by hearing it over and over again. You can memorize a speech by reading it. If you're dyslexic, maybe reading it's not the best way. Maybe the better way is to have someone recite it into a recorder and then play it over and over and over again. Or if it's, a piece of Shakespeare, you can find a recorded version of that particular play and watch it over and over and over again. Whatever. There's a lot of different ways. I went to college for a degree in the performing arts and always told people I was most comfortable on stage in drama. Yeah, I get it. Max World Entertainment. Oh, so good to see you, Trey. Haven't seen you in such a long time. Greetings, programs, he says. I hope you are doing well. I like Jordan Peterson. Come on. Yeah, can't stand him, but listen to him because the media said he was bad. Well, look, I was just focusing on another YouTuber who, I'm sure she's probably a little bit left of where I am, but she references Jordan Peterson very often because it's not about your political ideology. The truth is the truth no matter who says it. If Evil Mustache Man says the sky is blue, that doesn't make it not true because he's Evil Mustache Man. The truth is still the truth regardless of who says it. We have this tendency to fall into this ad hominem, right? Well, if someone on that side of the aisle says it, it must be bad and wrong. Yeah, well, maybe you're a little too far away from center yourself. Usually, it's like Occam's razor. Everything in the universe tends towards, a certain place. Water tends to come down into the valley. It doesn't stay up on the extremes for very long. So maybe we all need to, I think getting to another topic that we were talking about previously, this whole situation with Sydney Sweeney, the radical reactions people are having, and most people are going, it's just friggin' jeans. It's a pretty girl in jeans. It's advertising. What do you want? There's nothing more nefarious than that. They're trying to get you to buy denim. All who know me know Luke Skywalker has been my hero since I was a child. Really? How is that possible? He's a different color than you? He's a different gender than you? Well, depending on when the story's taking place, a different age than you. He lives in a galaxy far, far away, and you live in a galaxy here. How can you relate to him? Just wanted to pop in and say hello before I got on the road. Hope everyone has a kick-ass day today. Yes! Thank you very much. And as Trey always says, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. It's a choice. Just finished THX 1138 for the first time last night. During that, I realized that George's best writing was always right in front of us. He's always good at nameless evil henchmen just chatting. Yeah, I guess so. The hero's journey has always been my favorite storyline of all. Rocky, Luke Skywalker, Captain America, Steve Rogers. Those stories have always spoken to me. And when we get back after the promos, I'm going to get at why it's so universal and why it applies to all of our lives. Just under 3 minutes. I'll be right back. Where are those promos?
You are watching Liquid Lunch, streaming every weekday at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. Let's sip together.
This week on Netters Network, we're celebrating a channel that just hit the milestone of YouTube monetization. We'll sit down and chat with Corey of Wilkie's Movies and Music and give you a chance to subscribe and maybe become a member. All this and more on Netters Network, Thursday at 9 Central, 10 Eastern.
This week on Saturday Night at the Movies, it's a special double feature. Sent on a quest to rescue a princess, 4 clueless players must guide their characters through dangerous forests, ancient ruins, and past the girl next door. It's The Gamers. Then, a gaming geek takes his playing very seriously, unlike his babyish friends who'd rather be immature. He decides to shake things up by introducing 2 unconventional people to their group in The Gamers Dorkness Rising on Netters Network Retro Cinema. Saturday at 9 Central, 10 Eastern.
Every Sunday evening, Aged Boomer and Papa Pacelli bring you the rundown of the week's geek news, or at least what they think is interesting. You may have heard about it somewhere else, but Boomer and Pacelli put a spin on it you likely won't hear anywhere else. It's Geeky Geezers, every Sunday evening at 8 Central, 9 Eastern.
The Federation is rebuilding its empire at a breakneck speed, and the planet Helitrax is its latest conquest. Avon and the crew are intrigued. Just what is the Federation's new weapon? What has happened to Servalan? And how could the tenacious Helots have caved in so quickly? Could it be a traitor? This week on Last Call Presents Blake's 7, Tuesday at 10 p.m. Central.
We now return to our liquid lunch.
Curtis is saying that regarding Daredevil, one of his superpowers is the Rocky power, the power to take a terrible beating and get back up fighting. That's the inspiration, right? This realization that there's this switch in our head. You know, the can't and the must, right? I can't go any further. I can't go any further. But if you don't, you're going to lose. You know, your whole life depends on this. You know, your family's counting on you. Everybody's counting on you. And it's, you know, for the past decade and a half, it's what was called toxic masculinity. Well, I hate to tell you, this so-called toxic masculinity, first off, it's not only men that experience this, right? This drive, this ego, this inner strength, the willingness to overcome, fight if you have to, fight to the end, right? That's the survival instinct. We would not be here as a species if it weren't for that. You know, get over your first world selves and get down with the primal and understand why we are the way we are. We're going to get more into that in just a minute. Raid is a story of a police officer trapped in a building full of criminals, and on every floor there are killers and hitmen, and he has to fight them all by himself in his tactical gear. Great movie. Never heard of it. Sounds good, though. I will definitely want to check that out. Did I miss the what the fuck session in the stream? Well, no, you didn't, because basically that's what this is. You missed the setup to understand why this is the WTF. Normally, WTF would be a big rant about something that's going on. It's like, the hell's going on here? But then I saw this video that I have linked below talking today about how Joseph Campbell's hero's journey is not just, a paradigm for storytelling, but it applies to our lives because our lives are one big story. And that just kind of blew my mind. And then Joe comes in and points out, yeah, but individual scenes within a story can also have the hero's journey applied to them, like a fight scene in a Rocky movie. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, WTF, or is it just a fun title? Well, that's two. Both, yeah, both is good. Yeah, I understand my grandparents passed through. Oh, you guys are talking about you guys have a side conversation going on. That's fine. That's fine. And welcome to the Horror King. Good to see you, my friend. In his wheelhouse, Peterson really knows what he's talking about. Outside of his wheelhouse, Peterson is like anyone else. He can be right or wrong. Yeah. He knows what he's talking about the topics he really knows. But when he starts getting into things like geopolitics and stuff like that, he's kind of a dumbass. It's like, just that knowledge is not necessarily generalizable in the way that you think it is. I use a tape recorder to learn. See, that's exactly what I suspected. And then performing it over and over and over again helps a lot. Yeah, repetition. I think the same of Sweeney as I think of Tom Cruise. She is selling a product. He is making and selling a movie. Their politics don't matter. Absolutely. Which is why both of those people that you just mentioned don't talk about their politics, because it's not relevant. It's only relevant to the trolls that want to tear them down, right? And I got to be honest, if I didn't know, if these trolls weren't coming out and saying she's a registered Republican and blah 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 and this and that, I never would have known. I would have assumed, which is unfair of me, but you generalize. Oh, she's a celebrity. She must be a total left-wing radical. Even though I personally know people in the industry that are conservative and just quiet about it because they don't want to lose their livelihood over their ideology. Dialogue is absolutely a part of that. Just found out that all of my photos and videos on the SD for my phone are gone. That's too bad. I have no idea how it happened because I didn't do anything. This is why you should always back up everything and back it up physically. Because let's face it, some enemy decides to drop an EM pulse on us. All of that electronic data is gone in an instant. So you might want to have physical copies. Let's see. Some ugly bald guy is going to be interviewing another ugly bald guy in about a half hour. That's right. Well, now in less than 15 minutes. Let's see. Hey, good to see you. Troy effin' Pacelli. I like that, effin'. Isn't effin' a brand of vodka? Just saying. Yeah, I'm really sorry, man. Really am. I got to win this golf game so my daughter can go to Paris for dance school. Yes, we just watched Happy Gilmore too. You could consider that to be, yes, the framework of the hero's journey even applies to that crazy farce of a movie. Yes, absolutely. Let's see. and Wilkie's Movies and Music. Good to see you, my friend. I'm glad you already have your Friday stream up so I can forward everyone over to you on Friday. I am absolutely looking forward to that. Yes, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check. I may be mistaken. Let me see. Yes, it's spelled EFFEN, effin' vodka. I had it once in a mixer at a party, so there's no way I could really evaluate how good it was. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. So you know who I'm talking to. So I don't know how good effin' vodka is, but now I want to try it. So if anyone wants to buy me a bottle, feel free. I would be happy, and I would dedicate a whole Friday drunk stream to you for that. Let's see. Yep, EFFEN, effin', yeah. So yeah. And see, that would be cool too. I could hold up like a shot glass and say, "This is Troy effin' Pacelli," you know. And this is not a sponsored stream. So this is why I believe that these universal stories apply to all of us. Now, you could get real woo-woo with this and say, you know, we're all connected in one cosmic tapestry, that consciousness is a gestalt, even getting into Carl Jung with the whole collective unconscious and so forth. That's where woo-woo and science start to come together, right? I believe the woo-woo tomb is the Auric field, I think it's called. Whereas, you know, physicists tend to talk about it more in terms of the quantum field, you know. But it all applies to the same thing. This whole idea that the three dimensions of space and the one of time that we perceive is only a small part of reality, that there is clearly more going on out there than we are aware of. Welcome, Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Good to see you, my friend. Kapla. Carl Jung is my second favorite psychologist. My favorite is Viktor Frankl. That could be a conversation of a whole nother time. I actually was going to get more into the archetypes today, but time's getting away from me, so I'm not going to be able to. But Carl Jung and of course his professional predecessor, Sigmund Freud, were developing the precepts of psychoanalysis at a time when the scientific method was becoming more and more vogue, but spirituality was still a very strong influence on the world. And it's a great place to look for a connection between the two. And I don't think you can ever truly separate, you know, the science from the spiritual. There is there has been study in terms of genetics, you know, as they map out the human gene, and they're like, okay, well, here's the gene for blue eyes. The lack of a brown-eyed gene is really the blue-eyed gene, and so forth. And you know, this is the gene for this trait, and the combination of these genes cause this, you know, and so on and so forth. Well, we're starting to realize that there are genetic components to even the way we think. This is going to trigger some people. But there is, and it's ongoing study, this isn't like settled science or whatever, but there does seem to be some evidence that there is a genetic component to determine whether you're liberal or conservative. Yes, it's literally in your genes. And there is a rationale to it. I'll come back to that in a second. But the same kind of studies have demonstrated that there is a genetic component to one's predisposition to spirituality and spiritual thought. And it seems to be a dominant trait, right? You understand how genetics work with a dominant trait. You know, if you have two people with blue eyes, because those are both recessive traits, their children are going to have blue eyes. You have someone with blue eyes has a baby with someone with brown eyes. That baby is going to have brown eyes because the dominant trait wins out. But that baby is now carrying a recessive gene for blue eyes. So if that brown-eyed child with a recessive trait for blue eyes has a baby with someone who has blue eyes, there's a 3 in 4 chance that that child is going to have blue eyes. Anyway, science, right? By the same token, the spirituality trait seems to be a dominant trait. That is why these particular scientists that have done these studies suspect that the concept of religion is some kind of religion, and the similarities in religions might relate to each other. But, you say, in the rational era, there's so many more people, more and more people becoming atheists and not believing in spirituality and eschewing the woo-woo. Are they really? Or are they just choosing different gods for themselves? Have you ever known an atheist who described himself as an atheist and wasn't prepared to argue with you that God does not exist and I can prove that God doesn't exist. I can prove the negative. You're a fool for believing in him. They're literally proselytizing their belief in nothing. It's a religion for them, right? Most people that aren't sure, that don't make it an important part of their lives, usually don't say they're atheists. They'll say, yeah, I think I'm agnostic. I believe there might be something, but I don't know. Which is a pretty genuine way of looking at it. But when you don't have a religion in your life, you find a religion. Whether it's money or it's your wokeism belief, communism, whatever, and you go after it and you proselytize for it. You want everyone to agree with you on it. Because it's a religion. This is why people tend to refer to people of the other side of a political debate as being in a cult. Because it's kind of true. The radicals in politics have made their politics into their religion. And why? Why would there be all genetic traits have some, advantage in survival, right? It's the whole concept of Darwinism, right? Why do certain animals grow horns or armor or run really fast or can see at night and stuff? It's because nature has pruned them in that direction, right? Their ancestors that couldn't do that thing, that didn't have that advantage, died off, and the fittest ones ended up surviving. Now, there's a lot of things about humans that compared to other animals, you're like, how do humans even exist? It's the brain. It's the brain. We have a lot of disadvantages, right? We have long gestation periods, long childhood, where the child is completely dependent on the mother up until the age of, 35, whatever. before they can get out on their own and take care of themselves. That's a huge disadvantage from a survival standpoint, right? But the advantage is all of that is necessary, without getting too much into biology and metabolism, for that brain to develop, right? For us to be able to then literally, as adults, rise to the top of the food chain. And all those other advantages go out the window because we can find a workaround for them. You know, the whole idea of speech. Did you know that most primates, you know how we have, you can choke. You could choke. If you inhale your drink wrong, it goes down the wrong pipe. Well, most primates, those pipes don't actually come together in the first place. So they can't choke, right? So we have the disadvantage of being able to choke, being able to drown. Why? Because apparently the ability to have speech outweighed the more obvious, you know, ability to not drown and not choke to death. It's very, very interesting. Walking upright. There's all kinds of things that humans developed, and one of those things, and actually I want to back up a second. This idea of the child being dependent on the mother until almost adulthood. Not just on the mother. This also has to do with why societies form, right? You watch, you can find videos of this. When an elephant mother gives birth, what immediately happens is the entire herd comes around to greet the child. And then they stay around that mother to protect her. It's society. You see it in elephants, you see it in most primates. There is some sort of, yes, that's your baby, but we take responsibility for you as part of our clan. That's society. And part of society, an important part of society, is religion, right? The whole, you know, we are the sacred people. We need to protect the tribe from the evil that's out there that would do us harm, and something to aspire to, right? What is the whole hero's journey about, right? If you get too caught up in, what does any of this mean? We're not going anywhere. We're just going to die anyway. Well, that's not a very good survival instinct, is it? You know, you've got to believe there's a future goal. Why bother running the race unless, you know, there's a trophy at the end, or, you know, bragging rights or whatever, right? All of these things are part of survival if you want to get purely scientific about it. But if you want to get a little bit more spiritual about it, doesn't it seem like if there was an intelligent design that created all life in the universe, it would key that stuff into the source code. Otherwise, it wouldn't work, right? I'm going back to the Sydney Sweeney thing. Nobody's talking about one of the commercials Brooke Shields did for Calvin Klein's, very pertinent to the whole Sydney Sweeney thing. Actually, some have. And the same wackadoos are looking at, because in that campaign, Brooke Shields was literally talking about genetics being passed on from parents and so on and so forth. And she strikes this, you know, kind of gymnastic pose, being sexy, which is really all it was. And people are going, she's making the swastika sign with her body. And it's like, oh my gosh, you know, you must see Hitler's face in burnt toast. I mean, what is wrong with you people? You guys are all nuts, you know? I love that commercial. At the same point, I have no idea what Brooke Shields' politics is. It shouldn't matter. The girl was 14 when she did that ad. She didn't know politics from nothing at the time. So yeah. So there's that. Anyway, I just realized I'm running over time, and I've got to be sensitive to Curtis because that's where I'm going to be in about 2.5 minutes. So Curtis just dropped the link, but if you stay right where you are, I'm going to show for you over there right now. So guys, I want to thank you guys so much. Please join me over on Curtis Selby's channel. First thing you do when you get there, hit that subscribe button, right? Then hit the like button. Leave a comment. So in order, right? And listen to the show, and if you like it at all, consider becoming a member. Thank you guys so much. I will see you over on Curtis Selby's channel. Take care.
Goodbye. Hope to see you again real soon.
So here's to the daylight, the drinks and the fun, our liquid lunch, till the next one comes. With a wink and a smile, we'll be back real soon, chasing that jazz under the high noon.